This is Land of Fabula, Jonah 3. It's 10 verses. We'll read it all, then comment. The great fish vomited out Jonah on the dry land. Then verse 1. Yahweh's word came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and preach to it the message that I give you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh according to Yahweh's word. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, 3 days' journey across. Jonah began to enter into the city a day's journey, and he cried out and said, In 40 days Nineveh will be overthrown. The people of Nineveh believed God, and they proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth from their greatest even to their least. The news reached the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne and took off his royal robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He made a proclamation and published through Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, Let neither man nor animal, herd nor flock, taste anything, let them not feed nor drink water, but let them be covered with sackcloth, both man and animal, and let them cry mightily to God. Yes, let them turn every one from his evil way and from the violence that is in his hands. Who knows whether God will not turn and relent and turn away from his fierce anger, so that we might not perish. God saw their works, that they turned from their evil way. God relented of the disaster which he said he would do to them, and he didn't do it. Comment: the basic flow of the chapter is that the fish vomited Jonah on dry land, and Yahweh commanded Jonah a second time to go to Nineveh and preach. By now he had learned his lesson, so he went. In verse 3, Nineveh was 3 days' journey across, which is too far to be taken literally, except that maybe it would take 3 days to preach across the city from one end to the other. Yahweh had told Jonah in verse 2, Preach the message that I will give to you, and in verse 4, that message turned out to be, In 40 days Nineveh will be overthrown. In verse 5, one short phrase pretty much sums it up, quote, The people of Nineveh believed God, end quote. We might imagine it ran through Jonah's mind, if only the people of Israel were so responsive. The Ninevites, from greatest to least, believed, proclaimed a fast, and put on sackcloth. In verse 6, the news reached the king of Nineveh, the news being that God would overthrow the city in 40 days, and the king also covered himself with sackcloth and sat in ashes. He and his nobles issued the most extreme proclamation possible that no person or even any animal should taste food or even drink water, that everyone should be covered with sackcloth, cry mightily to God, turn from his evil and violence, so that perhaps God might relent from his fierce anger. In the last verse, God saw their repentance and relented. Backing up to chapters 1 and 2, the foreshadowings of the gospel were very strong, with Jonah being sacrificed to save the ship, paralleling Jesus' sacrifice to save the world. And there were the 3 days and nights in the fish's belly, paralleling Jesus' 3 days and nights in the tomb. And here in chapter 3, the parallel continues that the gospel was preached to the Gentiles, and they believed, actually much more readily than the Jews believed. Let's give God credit that the parallels and foreshadowings are no accident. He declares the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46:10, which means he knows the future and declares it ahead of time. The fourth and final chapter is next.